Hey, everybody. It's fantastic because you've laid the groundwork for what I was going to talk about, which is this idea of platform leadership. A lot of the examples we've heard today are really underpinned by platform strategy, right? The Amazon Prime, the idea of co-opetition is an ecosystem play. Question then is can these strategies be delivered with existing leadership, or does it require a different kind of leadership? And this is coming to the fore because we've heard an announcement that Jeff Bezos has just stepped down from Amazon as the CEO. Also, Bill Gates is stepping aside from Microsoft he's leaving the board. So there's a leadership transition actually happening now in companies that are kind of quintessential platform companies. And the question is both the succession of those companies, how do they cultivate the next generation of platform leaders? And then this broader question of these tactics that Mary and Tom and others have mentioned. These are tactical strategies within this larger question of how do I align my platform strategy, and do I have the right leadership in place to be able to drive those strategies? And I'd point out a couple of years ago in 2010, the Harvard Business School produced a very large volume. It was 822 pages dedicated to the question of leadership. It's called the Handbook of Leadership Theory and Practice, and was published with many well-known names. Michael Porter's got a chapter in there, and others. What's interesting is that none of the chapters, and in fact in the index itself, there's no reference to platforms, even though platform companies have now become dominant players in our economy, both in the US and globally. And in fact, if you take the top 100 platform companies in the world, they now have a market cap of close to $15 trillion. So they've become quite significant. Because the question is, are the leadership capabilities needed to drive a platform different from a traditional company, right? A traditional product company, a traditional retail company. There's obviously these core leadership capabilities, but is there something special that denotes or demarcates somebody who is a great leader of a platform company? And let me propose that there are actually three types of leadership capabilities that are particularly important for leading a platform company and platform strategy. One is understanding the underlying logic of platforms, right? There is a fundamental economic and organizational and strategic types of elements that go into leading platforms, even thinking about ecosystems, this idea that value can be created outside boundaries of your firm, right? Not command control, but figuring out how complements can come in and add value to your company. That is underlying platform logic. Another key element are what they call network effects, which is you create value, but that value is enhanced the more participants that come on to the system. So Amazon Prime, that membership program that Mary spoke of, is a great example. The more people that join Prime, the more resources Amazon has available to do things like invest in the supply chain that can make just-in-time delivery more possible, right? And then as those investments are made, it makes it even easier, and which attracts more participants to the Amazon Prime membership. And so there is this logic that feeds on itself that we call network effects, and also having that broader ecosystem of third parties that bring in. So those relationships that Tom spoke of in terms of co-opetition totally makes sense from a platform logic perspective. So having leaders that understand how platforms operate from an underlying economic sense, and then how do you structure these programs to actually actualize them and have that customer delight that every company is after. The other are orchestration skills. This is this ability to facilitate multiple parties that are participating in your platform, but you don't necessarily have direct control over, right? They're not direct employees. So their traditional means of command and control, the incentives that you provide to employees, both positive and otherwise, are don't really work in a platform context. You have to find other mechanisms of facilitating in creating incentives, creating new ways of rewarding third-party participants. And so those orchestration skills become quite key in a great platform leader. And then finally are the rules of engagement. These are the governance skills, right? The how do you structure it so that when people understand how to participate in the platform, what kind of rules that the platform will establish. And so rather than setting mandates inside the company, it's creating this environment so that the parties in the ecosystem understand how that ecosystem will operate in the terms and conditions on which they do. And so the governance skills become quite key to great platform leadership. And I think we've seen with the successful platforms that great platform leaders combine these three skills of platform logic, platform orchestration, and platform governance. So those are my thoughts for today in our program here of Curious and Quirky. So thank you. Look forward to continuing the dialogue.